To add even more excitement to sport, producers and engineers put the camera on wheels so that the viewers could become part of the action.
Stand by to roll.
He was pulled back and they're coming in the tapes and they're off. And they're off and I should say...
On dry land, the moving camera was known as the roving eye. It could keep pace with the horses. This was the Lincolnshire handicap and brought new excitement to the coverage of racing. People at home often got a better view than racegoers in the stands.
And here is Chief Barker leading up a tremendous dance with Chalk Stream and Offspring and...
Nowadays, the big sporting occasions get saturation television coverage. There were 77 electronic cameras at this year's Commonwealth Games. Compare that with the 9 at the London Olympics and the 3 at the 1937 Wimbledon.
Look at the way Thompson's moving. Thompson first, 10:37, he's done it.
New technology offers fresh challenges for outside broadcasts to bring us live pictures.
This is the camera, and this is actually the camera that was on the bike of Wayne Gardner at Donington. I think several million viewers of Eurovision actually joined him sort of hitting the straw bales, which has got to be a little bit of motor.
But the camera survived.
The camera survived. The fascinating thing was the camera kept running when the sort of bike hit its device. And
among the brightest memories of 1939 are the relays from those London theatres where revue and musical comedy were at their height. The first visit of the television cameras to the Victoria Palace to see Lupina Lane in Me and My Girl was so popular that it had to be repeated.
But let's get back to our story. Pre-war television created the British style of programming we still see today. All the ingredients were there, cleverly devised to inform, educate and entertain. Within their technological constraints, there were few formats these pioneering producers did not attempt.
BBC Television, this is the switchboard of Picture Page, a topical magazine introducing visitors, type and personality. You're through. You're looking at Pipe Major Massey, the bagpipes man from Trafalgar Square.
Our visitor on this occasion is C.A. Whitcomb, who, as most of you know, captained the English Ryder Cup team last year, 1936. He's going to demonstrate various shots, and he's going to start off with a drive. So now let's get on with the show. A beauty.
In the last few months, I've been taking works from the London galleries to the Alexandra Palace and commenting on them and showing them. This is a carving by the young English sculptor Henry Moore.
The wrap with this bathing suit worn by Maquette is of silver silk oilskin. The bathing suit is telescopic and adapts itself to any figure. And a little-known ballerina from Sadler's Wells, Margot Fontaine, graced a now increasing number of private TV screens with her exquisite dancing.
The only thing missing were feature films, banned by a nervous industry. But Disney did a deal to run his cartoons.
Films are broadcast by means of special projectors. In fact, the film which you're now seeing is running through a machine such as this.
Doing an answer.
And now for the next 2 minutes, we're going to show you a cartoon film.
They are controlled from the studio gallery
Queuing telecine.
through channels similar to those of the normal cameras.
Mixed to telecine.
In 1939, with World War II imminent, the government decided to pull the plug. The entire television audience was still less than 100,000 souls. There was no apology, no explanation. It just stopped.
You're wonderful, wonderful, marvelous. I think I kiss you now.
On the day that war was declared, I went out and bought 2 pounds of henna.
Put those things on again. What use do you think you'd be to the army?
Anyone can get killed.
A new word enters the vocabulary of the world. Blitzkrieg.
I said all quiet, sir. When I say all quiet, I'm not referring to the noise, sir, if you know what I mean. All quiet is part of military procedure, you see, sir.
There was no television during the war. It's hard to believe, but didn't we make up for it later?
Why have the men got fixed bayonets, Corporal? Well, in case the parachutists come floating down, you've got to be ready for the old upward thruster.
I want you to form a government.
Your Majesty, I will form the strongest possible government that will stand by our country in its hour of peril.
And then the men suddenly realized that that house was the same house which they'd been attacking over and over again on the train.
We have lost over 1 million houses, but our cities still live, although 40,000 of our citizens have died.
With World War II over, it was on with the show.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Do you remember me, Jasmine Blythe?
Just in time to broadcast the victory celebrations on the very next day.
Have it swing, they say, so after rhythmic rumba, we think the proper sequence is a very slight, tuneful number.
The man who lives next door to me is rich as rich can be, and through his
It's little Petula Clark on the threshold of her television career.
he missed his golden opportunity.
Watched here by a tiny audience, and only in London, as that's where the only transmitter was. But soon, like the railways of the 19th century, the transmission of television signals began to spread throughout the land. The post office constructed the links, hilltop microwaves, or underground coaxial cables. Television engineers from the BBC and later from the ITA built the transmitters. The first region to receive London's signal was the Midlands.
This is a very exciting moment for us in television. But tonight, I'm not speaking to you from the familiar studios at Alexandra Palace, but from a small room in the new transmitting station at Sutton Coldfield. On behalf of the BBC, I offer a special greeting and a warm welcome to our new viewers in the Midlands.
Gradually, television signals made their way up the spine of the country. The transmitters' sites gave us some new and colourful names. Home Moss, Kirkoshots, Wenvoe, Glencairn, Knockmore, Rumpster Forest, Pontop Pike. Today there are over 3,000 television transmitters, thanks to the efforts of the engineers in the BBC, the IBA and British Telecom.
So if you want listening, that's easy on the
At the start of the 50s, television audiences were still small. There were fewer than 1 million licenses. TV was on the air only 2 or 3 hours a night. Radio was king. But for how long would television be number 2? The answer came in 1953 with the coronation of our own dear Queen.
The moment of the Queen's crowning is come.
These pictures were seen live by 20 million people. Only 12 million listened to the radio. For the very first time, television was more popular than radio. In 1955, there were 5 million licenses. To some, it seemed unfair that the BBC should have a monopoly. So that year, they were joined by ITV.
ITV in view. But from tonight in London, and later in other parts of the country, there will be an alternative and a competitor, and competition will bring its changes.
Britain's first television commercial.
It's tingling fresh.
Advertisers were tingling with excitement.
It's Gibbs SR toothpaste, the tingling fresh toothpaste that does your gums good too.
Get in the hang of it. Mind the banisters, son.
Oh, I can't hold it, Dad.
Don't worry, son. I shifted more pianos than you've had hot dinners.
Cream, Mr. Shifter, like refreshment.
Oh, thank you most kindly, madam. One way of shifting it.
You're never alone with a strand.
Sorry. Sorry.
Stars love Mars.
And they all of them agree.
It's Petula Clark again. My, hasn't she grown?
Mars is certainly something to sing about.
And ITV was different from the BBC in another way. It was not one centralised network, but a group of separate companies, each serving an area of the country and making contributions to the national ITV network. Year by year, new companies were added, spreading commercial television across Britain. Franchises were lost and won, larger regions were broken into two. Some of the pioneering names have now vanished, replaced by equally familiar names. With ITV came a new breed of programmes, slick, vulgar, and immensely popular. Commercial telly was creating its own unique art form, the game show.
Ace card, and you're going to start us off with an 8. You can change it. Change it for a 6. A bit better. What do you think? Higher than a 6. You say an ace. Lower. Higher than an ace. You say a 7.
For another edition of your big Saturday treat, you know you just can't beat, and that's 3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
Makes a change to see a bunch of girls like that on television, because I feel that these days we're getting too many medical shows, you know, Emergency Ward 10.
Or just a straightforward Porter cable shunt. Though we can't do anything to alter the ultimate prognosis, I think we've at least saved her from dying from hematemesis.
What are chances?
And ITV gave us the twice-weekly soap opera.
When she came in. But you see, you can never tell with cirrhosis. I mean, if she does as she's told and looks after herself, she may last indefinitely.
Poor Sister Phillips.
Ward 10 may be gone, but all these other soaps are still going strong.
I'm Mrs. Sharples.
I'm very pleased to meet you. I'm a neighbour.
Hello, Susan.
Hello, Ken.
With some of the original characters.
Just don't think that when you walk out of that door that you're ever coming back.
I won't.
Far be it from me to offer advice, Joe.
Ah, shove it.
I lost my job. I'm broke. That's why I came home. I had to. I had nowhere else to go.
By 1962, ITV had covered all of Britain, and the BBC had its own regional stations. And in that year, television began to shrink the world.